Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we are going to be figuring out what happens when you bring the male hermit to the female hermit. Now, this is something you guys might not have known about, but these two characters in Red Dead Redemption 2 are in some way, shape, and form connected, yet they literally live on polar opposites of the map of each other. And if you just think about it from a game perspective, you might say to yourself, that's not far away. You know, that'll take me 5 or 10 minutes on horseback. But in reality, you need to remember that this game consists of 5 states. So that would be like living 5 states away. It would be like from, I don't know, Florida to Virginia, like California to Texas. Like it's a big distance away. And I'm using United States examples there because that's where I live. I'm sure you guys can come up with your own distance. Needless to say, they live very far away. And we're going to see what happens today when you bring them together. Will something crazy happen? That's what we're going to be figuring out. Now, before I brought these two together, I actually stumbled across something kind of interesting. I was actually looking for the male hermit, and I came across this place. It was Mademoiselle's house. And Mademoiselle looks to be a little bit past her prime, as you guys can see. She is now a skeleton. And she's got a lockbox underneath her chair. And in that lockbox is something rather interesting. It is a female fertility statue. That's kind of strange. I didn't know what this is used for, but it turns out this location that we are at right now is a roadside brothel, so I guess that does make a little bit more sense. So I am unaware if there is a male counterpart of this fertility statue or if there's only a female one. If there is a male one, maybe this would have triggered something else in my journey. And I'm sure you guys can let me know in the comments down below. So now that I've found that little interesting trinket, let's find our male hermit. So the male hermit is actually located above Annesburg in this very tiny cottage in Roanoke Ridge. And this is actually what happens if you approach the cabin. He is going to greet you in a not so nice way.
Get out of here! I said get out of here! Go away! I'm not buying it, and I don't want it. I said I'm not buying it, and I don't want it. You're all bastards! 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 A man's home is his castle! Go away or I'll kill ye!
Just minding my own business.
So I made a big mistake here after talking to him for the first time. I ended up following him back into the cabin, and I knew he was armed, but I didn't know that one shot from his weapon would end up killing me. Now that's important because this male hermit right here has a unique weapon that you cannot get anywhere else in the game. It's called the rare shotgun. And if you actually take out this hermit, you can get the shotgun for yourself. However, be warned, if he does kill you upon returning, at least in my scenario, he was not there. He ran off. So I had to completely redo this part. Luckily, I went back on my save and I was able to do this all over again. But just keep that in mind that if he does kill you, he won't show up. So that's sort of important as well. So if we go back, and this time I was prepared, I was ready, I gave myself more health tonics, and this time I was not going to listen to his full speech, but instead just going to lasso him up. And so I lassoed him up there, ended up looting him. I literally had a panther attack me, which was close. And a couple of things you want to do is you want to go inside of the house. Now, this is important. You want to go to this side table over here, and you want to grab the Torn Treasure Map 1. This is important. It also sort of proves our theory that these two are connected in more than one way. So you want to grab the Torn Treasure Map Part 1. Now, you can loot the rest of the house if you want, but on our way out, what we want to do is we want to just put the hermit on the back of our horse. And that's this guy's official name, as you guys can see there, Hermit. And this is where he is located. It is at Manito Glade, which is just above Annesburg. So you can see that it is on like one of the furthest east points of the map. And we actually need to go to one of the furthest west points of the map. It is to the west, believe it or not, of Mount Hagen in West Elizabeth. So it is literally the furthest east you can go without being in New Austin. So from there, we put our hermit on the back of our horse. He ended up losing his hat, but that's okay. And we basically just needed to go the entire map. Now, I couldn't fast travel here. You can't do anything like that. Otherwise, the hermit will disappear. So I had to just completely traverse the entire journey. And this became slightly difficult because having him on the back of my horse tied up like this meant that every time I passed someone by, I would get in trouble for kidnapping. And eventually I earned a pretty high enough bounty where this became sort of a pain to deal with. So if you want to try this experiment for yourself, I would recommend that you have like a lot of horse provisions, a lot of provisions for yourself, just in case you do get caught in a situation where, you know, you have a lot of lawmen are you, or you could just use cheats and take away your wanted level. But I didn't want to do that. So we did it the old natural way. So this probably took me about 5 or 10 minutes to go from one side of the map to the other in my white Arabian horse. I'm sure if you have a better horse than I have, or if you find a faster way across the map, that this will take way less time. But eventually you want to get to about this location right here. It is above Hanging Dog Ranch. It's kind of hard to get to because this is a very mountainous area, and it's also above the Hilt Shack too. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So when you get to this location, the hideout is going to be very, very similar to the male hermit, and that she kind of has it like guarded and doesn't like trespassers. So take a listen to this encounter right now.
Hey, get off my property! I'll set my dogs on you! Get the hell off
Get
my
back.
land! I'll blow your brains out!
So this lady sicked her dogs on us, and I didn't have any choice but to take her out. So I ended up hog tying her as well, and you can see that she is the Hermit Woman. Now we can inspect this site, and Arthur says, think I may have met a witch or a woman who wanted to be one. And that's the description he writes in the journal. Now, the important thing to grab here in the nightstand is the torn treasure map, part 2. So how did these two have one half of this treasure map, yet they live 4 states apart? Well, their names are interesting. You have Hermit Woman and you have the Hermit, but how are they connected? And what would happen if you brought them together? Well, that's what we're going to be doing right now. We're going to be seeing what happens. So I actually kept them hogtied for a moment. I kept them side by side, and they didn't say anything or do anything. There was no adverse reaction to any of the characters being right next to each other. So I figured my next best bet was to eventually cut them free. But before I did that, I wanted to take a look at the treasure map because there's actually something I never knew about this map. On the back, there's actually a note, and it reads, "Mended treasure map. My life is threatened daily, and the whole world seems pitted against me. I have been hunted for many years and charged for numerous crimes of which I am innocent. Many brave fellows, not a coward or a liar among them, have died for riding with me. I fear betrayal and am constantly looking over my shoulder. I am hiding these personal effects for sale, keeping until I prove my innocence, and will be living with my wife and the Tatum brothers, the last loyal friends I have left, Otis Miller." So this is Otis Miller's treasure, which you can actually find in New Austin. So you have to wait till you get to the epilogue in order to check that out. But it still is so weird how these two, again, who live literally on the polar opposites of the world to each other, have this map. How did they acquire 50% of it each? So from there, I wanted to uncut both of them to see what would happen. And this was kind of interesting. So the Hermit Woman, who is armed, ended up trying to shoot me instantly. However, the Hermit Man, he felt like he was being kidnapped and started immediately running away. You guys can see here that he has the shotgun on his back, but instead of fighting me, he's just simply running away like a coward now. So this was kind of strange. I really didn't know what to do here. I ended up tackling him and then threatening him to get rid of the kidnap witness. And then he just kind of casually walked back towards the Hermit Woman. And I thought something was going to happen here until she started shooting, and it looked like she was shooting at him, but it turns out that she was shooting at me. So this Hermit Woman cannot be trusted. She is very, very dangerous. In fact, I tried to get the gun away from her. I eventually did. And apparently I haven't learned my lesson about old ladies beating you up, because this lady was incredibly strong. Like, I could not get away from her punches, which is what I did not want to have happen. So I eventually had to take care of the hermit lady because she was going to beat me up. And unfortunately, when that happened, it looks like the hermit man ran away. So does anything exciting or unique happen if you bring these two together? Unfortunately, the answer is no, but I still think this leaves an incredibly interesting mystery. And another thing to consider as well is the cave hermit connected to these two as well. So you have the hermit who lives above Annesburg. You have the hermit woman who lives west of Mount Hagen. You also have the cave hermit who is on this side of the map as well. You guys know the devil in the cave. How are they all connected? But specifically, how are these two connected because of the pieces of the treasure map they have? You know, they must have had some sort of past connection here. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for them to ever have had pieces of the map, which to me is just very, very strange. And once you've acquired the map, and once you've acquired both pieces of the map, as I mentioned, you can actually find Otis Miller's treasure if you want, which is actually in New Austin. So you have to be in the epilogue in order to get that. So anyways, that's what happens when you reunite the Hermit Woman and the Hermit Man in Red Dead Redemption 2. As always, with discussion-heavy videos like this, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Let me know what you think the connection between these two NPCs and characters are in RDR2. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. Without the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.